So today we will discuss about a source code management tool. Okay, we generally call that as SCM tools. Okay, source code management tools. Why we need SCM? Okay, why we need? I'll give you an example. Okay, so there is a team. Okay, team of let's say 5 people, either development team or automation team, who writes the code. Okay, uh, team leader or their manager, they have assigned a task to individual person. Okay, and then they'll write that piece of code individually. Okay, they'll keep it in their systems. Okay, but uh, that will complete only all the pieces are come together, and then only you can say that that particular application is ready. Okay, so how do you share the code across the team members? That is the first question. Okay, let's say I'll send it in an email. Okay, whatever the code that I have written, team member one wrote some code, he sent an email. Team member two wrote some code and send an email to their manager. So manager has to sit down and put together all the pieces and complete the code. Is that the good choice? No, it's not the good choice. So the second option that we have is shared locations. So shared location is something like I have a FTP where I create an initial project and I kept there, and everybody like 5 people from my team took their code, initial code from there. They will add their uh, development code or automation code, and whatever the changes that they have done, they put it into the shared location. Okay, so this is one option you have, but there is a problem that uh, let's say developer A wrote some lines of code and developer B wrote some lines of code. Okay, first developer A keeps the code in the shared location, and then developer B, without knowing that, he replaces developer A code and put the only developer B's code. Okay, that is my possible. Okay, so that is another scenario that you get. And the third one is like somebody's made some mistake and like they have replaced the code. If you want to get the older version of code, you don't get that. Okay, so that means whatever the code that you copy to the shared location has to be maintained in multiple versions. Okay, so that is not possible in the shared location. So then there is to overcome all these issues, what we have is we have SCM tools, the two version control systems we call it as. Okay, version control. Version control means if let's say I copy a file today that is versioned. Okay, and tomorrow I'll come and copy one more file or update the existing file. Okay, then it is version 2. So like that it will maintain each change that you put it into the system, it will maintain it as a version. So if you know the version after let's say 100 version, 1000 version, like 1 lakh versions, if you want to get any particular version, if you know the number of that version, you can get that code. Okay, so that means history is being maintained. So that is the one of the major advantage to use the SCM servers. Okay, what kind of servers we have available? Okay, there are so many things we have. Git, Mercurial, SVN, TFS. Okay, so like this we have multiple SCM like servers are available. Now we are going to learn about Git. Okay, so now in a days Git is being widely used because of these the features that Git offers. Okay, now when I say about Git, Git is a technology, okay? So different people implemented in their own way, and their own implementations has been made available to public to use it, okay? So for example, for that, you might heard about GitHub, okay, GitLab or Atlassian Bitbucket, okay, Git Tower. So there are so many implementations of Git, okay, available to us, and then it will be used. So what is the difference between Git and GitHub? Okay, you understand like this. GitHub basically works on the principles of Git. That means whatever the command that Git supports, and the same commands that we use in GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket, but it provides an UI. Each one has its own UI to have better features. Okay, so or the extra features that you want to available, they made it available through UI. So that's a difference that you have. For example, I have GitHub. Okay, so this is your GitHub. In the GitHub, let's say you create one repository. Assume that this is where you put your code. So you can see it in the what the UI format. Okay, so basically you can call it as client too, but okay. So here, see, apart from the code, what you can maintain was you can maintain the settings, you can maintain the inside security wiki, okay, pull request, issues. So all these things has been provided by GitHub here. Okay, so the operations that you want to perform on this repository, that will be part of your Git. For example, if you take, this is GitLab. Okay, see, GitLab also offers some different kinds of functionalities. Okay, the way that this UI and GitHub's UI is different, but the internal working methodology or the mechanism is same. Okay, if you learn Git commands for one particular application, the same can be used for other applications too, but a little changes in their functionality. Okay, I hope you understand. Now we'll see what are the learning steps for us. Okay, now you have Git server, okay, and Git client. So Git server is where the code or repositories or your projects being maintained. Client is to access that server. You should have a client in your system that is being called as Git client. This Git server, if you want to install on it on your own, there are certain packages are available to you for you to install Git server. But if you use these technologies or GitHub, GitLab, you don't need to maintain Git server. They will maintain it for you, and you can create a repository out of it. Okay, so repository is nothing but a project. So we use GitHub server. Okay, GitHub server, and for Git client, you can go to the Git download. Here you can download the Git clients. So whether if it is a Windows or Mac, you can just download it and then you can install it. It's a straightforward one. Okay, now, yeah, I hope you understand, like Git client is can be downloaded and installed. For Git server, you have to create an account in GitHub. Okay, so when you create an account and login, so you can see your basic page. Okay, where you can create a repository for them. Okay, now you have Git server and Git client. Okay, the next thing that we do is Git operations. Okay, So first we need to learn what are all the operations that Git supports. Okay, what are all the operations that Git supports? I'll list down few operations here. We'll try to learn them first. Okay, clone, pull, push, branch, merge, conflict. Okay, so these are the important operations or important terminology that you want to understand in Git operations. Okay, so first we will see what clone will do and what Git pull will do, push will do. Okay, so for example, here you have uh, joined an organization. Okay, and then they gave you a URL for their instance of git github. Okay, and then they gave you username and password to access it. Okay, then they ask you to work on the project. Okay, when they do that, what is the first thing that you have to do when you get that scenario? You should be able to get the code into your system first. Okay, get the code. Yeah, and then once you get the code, you can write your code, modify the code. Modify can be done in a like new file has to be created or update existing file or delete existing file. So anything that you do based on the functionality or based on the task that has been assigned, and then this modified code has to be uh, put it into server. Okay, so that everybody can get that. Okay, and the other one is like somebody else modified. Okay, you need to get that code. Okay, somebody else modified, you need to get that code, get latest code. So this is the use cases that you have. So first time you have to get the code, and then if somebody modified, okay, if somebody else modified, that they get the latest code, that is second, and then you modify the code and put it into server. Put it into server so that everybody can get that code. So these are basic functionalities of Git. We will see how to do that. Now you, remember you are working on an existing repository. Okay, so if you want to create a new repository, then we will see that in the next parts. But you are working on an existing repository. Okay, in order to do that, what you need to have, you should have a URL and then the credentials. So for the credentials part, I ask you to create the account in the GitHub. The URL wise, let's say you have this is the URL that I have given you. Okay, so when I give this URL, let's say take this. Yeah, this is the URL. You go to the github.com. Okay, so I'll explain a few things here. This is where you see the code. Okay, so when the code, all the files has been added into your repository. So this is a repository. Repository is nothing but a place where you can put similar kinds of files. Here code files we will put it together. Okay, now inside that you have description and then website, all these things will have. What you need to do is the first operation, get the code. This operation we call it as clone. Okay, so people will tell you what to do is like clone the repository. That is the statement that you'll get. So what you need to do, you need to perform the clone operations. In order to perform the clone operations, what you need to do is in Windows you have to open any folder, right click, and then you can see git bash. Okay, when you say git bash, it opens a command prompt. Okay, here it is open terminal. Let's say cd. I'll go to the a folder. I create a folder. Okay, so git. So I'm creating a new folder mkdir. This is command line commands, like they are simple. Mkdir sst3 cd sst3. So mkdir creates the folder, cd will change directory. Okay, so finally you are in a folder. If you create from UI and then you right click git bash here, then you will come to this place. Okay, now the first operation that you do is git clone and then this URL. Here you see clone or download. You can use clone with HTTPS. Okay, when it is clone with HTTPS, you have to copy this and then you have to paste it. Sometimes by default maybe it looks like this, but this is not the correct one. Okay, so you should use HTTPS. Use SSH also can work, but it is you have to create the keys instead of username and password. You can use the keys to access the repository. That we do not need it now, so use this one. Okay, so what is the command? Git clone and the repository. So when you do that, what it will do is from the remote, whatever the files that you have, that will be copied into your local. And if you see pwd, this is the Linux command which shows us the current path. You are in this one, so you use cd sst3, sorry, cd sst3 API. This is the folder that has been created or that has been created by clone operation. Okay, now we have files. Let's say here in the Linux you use LX, Linux RMAC, but if it is Windows you use dir. Okay, now pom.xml, src, testing.xml. So these are the three files it is having now. Okay, so that means you are able to get the code from your uh, repository. So which command that I have used? Git clone, and this is the report name. Okay, so generally what we do in Eclipse, we will import, right? So you can do that. So import the existing projects. How do you do that? Is like I'm creating a new workspace. So you have to import here, not create the project. So right click. Generally right click should work, or else you go to the import. Import, and then you have Maven. This is Maven project, right? And then choose existing Maven project and then next. So click on browse where it has been cloned. So it's in git rip. You have to go to that particular folder, SST3 API. This is the cloned one. So you just click on finish. So then the code has been imported like into your Eclipse. So what are the operations that we have done? First clone and then imported into the Eclipse. Okay, the first operation is completed. which is called as cloning. So you don't need to do clone again and again. Once you do the cloning, then that should be sufficient. Okay. So when it clone, there are certain features that you have to understand about Git. Okay. Such as by default, okay. So whenever you clone, there is a branch called master will come. Okay. So master branch. Okay. So anyway, that point you remember, there is something called master, and then that is that is a branch. Okay. Now somebody else modified the code. Okay, you have the latest code now. Okay, you have the latest code now. Somebody else, let's say developer 2 modified the code. Okay, so developer 2 modified code, which is something like, let me say, he added one more file, new sample.txt. Okay, assume that this is developer 2 is doing. Okay. Okay. Now there is a change happened. Okay. In your system, there is a code. Okay. There is certain code. In the remote, the code has been modified. You need to get the modified code, the latest code. Okay. So which is this operation? Somebody else modified, you want to get that code. So for that code, what you need to do is you need to have pull operation. What is that operation that you have to perform? Pull operation. So how do you do that? The command that we use here is, you should be inside the project. Okay, SST3-API, whatever the repository that we have cloned, you have to inside that, and then type git pull. Okay, so when you do git pull, so whatever the modifications that has been done from the point you have cloned to this point, all those changes will come. Okay, so how does Git will maintain, or Git will know that there has been changes? I told you, right, for everything they maintain some revision. Okay, so it, whenever it clones, or now you pulled it, right, it creates a base, or it creates a revision, and it keeps in your system. Okay, and whenever somebody push the data or any files into the repository, then the revision number changes there. Okay, and now whenever you call git pull, it checks this current version, and then the version that you have in the repository, if that is not matching, it gets on all the files that has been changed in between these revisions, and those files will be come and save into your system. See, now what we have, sample text has been uh, added, right? So that that has been copied into your local. See, updating C9 some number to 46, that one. So from C9 to 46, it is updating. That means they are maintaining two versions. So from version to another version, it is going. Now, if you see, okay, you got the sample.txt file. Okay. So any questions here about the pull operation? Now we will see. Okay, the next operation that you want to perform is git push, or modify and update to the server. Okay. Now, in order to do this, I'll tell you there are multiple steps involved, and then multiple scenarios comes. It's not straightforward. Okay. So sometimes you will have one scenario, sometimes you will have another scenario. It comes into picture. Let me take one scenario and then we'll do that. Okay. First thing is I will modify existing file. Okay. I'll modify existing file. That is my first step. After modifying the existing file, I will check what are all files are modified. Intentionally, I modified only one. Unintentionally, for for other reasons, maybe I have modified some files which I don't need to put it into the server. Okay, there are two kinds of files has been modified. Now I'll check what files are modified. Then select a file which I wanted to modify and which are modified, and add it to the stage. Okay, so what I have to do is I have to add it to this stage. This you remember that. Okay, so we need to add that file to the stage. That means we are telling to the Git, out of all these modified files or whatever I have added to the stage, they are ready to be uh, they are ready for the next steps. Okay, now after that I will commit the code. So this is one important step. Okay, I'll commit the code. What is the meaning of commit is whatever the files that has been added to this stage, they have committed into a set. Okay, so that means you are packing it up. So if you go to a grocery store, what do is uh, you first, out of all these products, you select the products first. Okay, and add it to your bag. Okay, and then this is like added to the stage. And then once you come to the uh, like counter, billing counter, there you pay, and then they prepare this bill, and then they put it into a cover, and then they will give it to you. Okay, and then that means you are ready to take them to home. It's not in your home yet. Okay, uh, the advantage of this commit is, okay, you take that and you have to get that cover to your home. That operation, what we call it as push. Okay. When we do push, this is where it will take this file to the, or these changes to the repository. Okay. So after performing this operation only, whatever the changes that you wanted to keep it into the remote server, remote means Git server, then it will go there. Okay. So these are all the steps that you have. For example, uh, after billing, you forgot one item. Okay, you came out of the grocery shop and you forgot an item. So what you need to do is you go and modify or select the files and then add to the stage and then commit the code. Okay, that means you have to pay the bills separately for the newly bought products, right? So now you have two covers. Okay, you two covers, that means you have two commits, and then you can push, you can take those two commits to the home, or two commits to the repository. So I hope you understand this analogy. Okay, in the base, what you need to do is first you need to modify the files and then add it to the stage, then commit, then you have to push. Okay, so this is the scenario one which we wanted to we'll do that now. Okay, fine. So which file will modify? Let's say sample.txt only will modify. Okay, what I do is I am going to add, I am adding a new line to this file. Okay, Now I have modified the file. So when I modified the file, what is the next thing that I have to do? I have to check what are all the files that are modified. Okay, in order to do this, you come to the terminal. There is a command. These are all works based on the commands that we use. So the command that we use is git status. What is the command? Git status. Git status will give us at any point of time what are the files that has been modified, files that has been added, files that has been newly created or deleted. All the status will come here when you use git status command. Okay, so git status, that is a command. Now you see 3 files has been modified. You don't want to push all these to the other 2 files. You want to push only sample.txt. Okay, at that point of time, what I need to do is I need to add these modified files to the stage. For that, I have a command which is called as git add sample.txt. Okay, so git add is the command and then sample.txt is the file. So if you want to modify 2 files, add 2 files, comma, class path. So if I give this command, it adds 2 files. Okay, now for this I want to add only 1 file, so I have used it. Git add sample.txt. Now what it is doing? Git add file name. Okay, along with path you have to give the file. Now after that you need to commit, right? Before commit, okay, before committing, we can check again that whether these files are added or not. How do I do that? Git status. See the difference between previous git status and this git status. You have all are in red color. Now one file is modified into green color. What does that mean? It means that whatever the files that you added to this stage, it shows in green color. Whenever you commit you run the commit command, whatever you have in the green color, those files will be added to the commit. Okay, so now git commit. So this is the third command, git commit the code. So git space commit hyphen space hyphen m. There is no space between hyphen and m. Okay, now after that you have to give these brackets. Here you have to give the commit message. Commit message means whatever you are doing, whatever the purpose that you have done these changes, you have to specify. Okay, modified the changes to sample.txt. Now enter. So this has been committed. Okay, whatever the file that you have modified, it has been committed. See, you should be giving git command commit hyphen m. Commit message you have to give in the double quotes. That's a mandatory. You cannot miss that. Okay. Once you do that, one file has been changed. 2 insertions happen, and when you check git status, you see now only 2 files. Okay, you cannot see the sample.txt, which is whatever the committed files you have, you cannot see those changes. Okay, and but you can see one extra command which is called as your branch is ahead of stable by 1 commit. Okay, so here stable is a branch name that I have created. Okay, so anyway, like you have done 1 commit, so commit is happened. Okay, that means what is the command you have to use? Git commit space hyphen m and then message. So this you have to do. After that, again, git status is common command. Whenever you want to check the status or files status, you use git status command. And then finally you need to do git push. Okay, when you do this git push, what it will do is whatever the commits that happened until then, it will be pushed into the remote repository. Okay, in order to do this, you should have two things. One, okay, permissions. So you should have permission to push the data to this repository. Okay, now you take this URL and then do all these stuffs till git pull or commit you can do. Whenever you do git push, it will fail. It will says that you do not have permissions to do that. Okay, actually this is public repository. That's why it did not ask you to the for the credentials while you clone. But if it is a private repository, then it will ask you the credentials for clone itself. Okay, now my point here is you should have the permissions to for this repository. Let's say I am your manager. I want you to work on this project. So that what I need to do is I will add your IDs. Okay, I'll add your IDs to this repository. So invite a collaborator. Let's say, for example, uh, so this is how I invite. Okay, so this one will get an email. Okay, in the email you have to approve. Okay, you have to accept that. Then you will become the official member for this repository, so that you will have access to the push. Let's say, for example, I'm okay. So I am inviting the collaborator. So now I will get an email. So you'll get an email like this. Here you can use the view invitation. Okay, don't do it from mobiles. It's better from UI. It's better. Okay. Now, okay. So, okay. So I'm just opening in a different browser. So it will ask you the credentials. For that, you should be logging in with this account. Okay. So generally you will be logging in with your account. So I accept invitation. Okay. So when you click on accept invitation, then you are ready to make the changes into this repository. Okay. So you can see that here you do not have settings. See, if you are just a member, you do not have the settings section. But if you are an administrator for that repository, then you can have settings and you can add the people. So once you approve that, you can see like collaborator, where you can start pushing the code. Now, permission sections, I hope you understand. What I need to do is you need to send me the IDs so that I can add to this repository. Now, second thing is, now assume that, okay, assume that what is the operation that you performed was like git pull. When you perform a git pull, and you'll get a version number. Let's say that version is some ABC123 number came. Okay, that is the revision number that you have. After that, you have started working on this scenario. By the time that you come to this step, some other developer has been changed this version. So now how you can look at it into this is, this is your local repository. Okay, this is your remote repository. The local repository, whenever you do git pull, what it will do is it will get the latest code from there. So how it will get latest code from remote to local. This is the operation that you perform. Like if it is a first time, it is clone, but it is like next time onwards, it will be the pull. Okay. Now, the repository, you have a number in the repository, let's say ABC123, and the same number you have in ABC123 in your local too. Okay. Then there is another guy who worked on this repository. Okay. This is his local, let's say dev2. Okay. What he will do is, first he will perform this pull operation. Okay, he performs pull operation. After that pull, he make the changes from ABC. Whenever he push, like first we'll have after pull, he also will have ABC123. Once he make the changes and the push the code, this local repository changes will be done to, let's say, 124. It will not be like that, but the differentiation I just want to tell. So now ABC124 is in his local. When he perform push operation, okay, it will be ABC123. Okay, so this ABC123 will become what? It will become ABC124. Okay, now the latest version that you have here is ABC124. Okay, you have ABC124. Okay, this is done in between. Now you are in this state. Okay, what I want you to do is you want to push the operation. Okay, so the operation that you want to perform is push. This push operation I want to perform. So this will be my second scenario. Whatever the scenario that I am talking right now, scenario 1 is this dev2 is not into picture. Then you will have directly the current repository, current one you have is ABC123. So for that, what you need to do is, all you need to do, let me do one thing, save. All I need to do here is git push. When I did git push, okay, so your local has been modified into, let's say, XYZ, or like, okay, ABC124. So 125. Okay, whenever you push the code, this code has been modified into ABC125. I hope you understand now. See what happened? This remote stable to stable, it went. In your case, you might see master to master. Master is a branch. So here stable is a branch. Okay. Now you completed the first activity. What is the first activity? So without developer 2, you just modified your local. It became 125, ABC 125. That has been pushed to the ABC 125. Now after that, you see how it will looks like in the code level. Let's say, you see the change, commit number has been changed. Total commits are 4 now. And here this is commit message, whatever they given, modified the changes to the sample.txt. If you click on commits, you can see what is the message we have. Okay, so modified the changes to sample.txt. Okay, this is the thing that it has been happened. So it does not ask me the credentials because it's already saved. For you, the first time, it will be asking the credentials at that point of time. If you give the correct email ID or the Git username, then only it will be successful. Okay. Any questions here? Now we will take the second scenario. What is the scenario 2? Okay, scenario 2 is developer 1, dev 1 modify the code, commit the code. Okay, uh, developer 2 push his changes, and dev 1 has to push the changes. Okay, so whenever I say commit, you have to do all this: git status, add to the stage, and commit. I don't want to write everything again, so commit means that one. And then meanwhile, what he done is developer 2 pushed his changes. So dev 1, you have 125, but whenever the dev 2 pushed, so his changes become, let's say, I'll write it in this way. Yeah. Now you have, what developer will do is, first he will pull ABC 125. Okay, so because it's the latest now, 125, and then he made the commits. Okay, when he made the commits, it will become ABC 126, and then whenever he push, it become ABC 125 becomes ABC 126. Okay, now he has this ABC 126. Meanwhile, you made some changes into your local and committed, so that it will become ABC 127. Okay, so ABC 125 plus changes, assume that. Okay, you have ABC 125 plus changes. Now when you want to push the code, it checks that what is the base changes you have, ABC 125 and here ABC 126. That means whatever the latest changes that you have done, okay, latest changes that you have uh, done in your local, if you want to push them into the repository, whatever the changes you have in the repository changes are not in your local. In simple words, repository changes is not in your local. So without getting them, you cannot make this push. Okay, that is what it is going to tell you. Now, how do I do that? Let's say first step is modify the code. I'll modify the sample.txt only. I'm adding a new line. Okay, I'm adding a new line. Now in the repository or developer 2, okay, so I've modified the changes, right? Developer 2, what has to done? He has to commit, push his changes, right? So let me, so assume that this is the developer 2. Developer 2 is going to create a new file. The file name is second sample.txt, and then new file. Okay, I'm working on simply like not related to all code changes. So simple files so that I'm creating so that you will be understanding. Okay, new second sample file. This is developer 2 is making the changes. Commit new file. So yeah, here it is being added. Second sample.txt is available. So now what we have in the remote, the ABC 126 has been pushed, but in your local, ABC 125 plus changes are there. So how do you do that next step? What is the next step that you want to do here as per this? So I have to commit the code. What is the commit to, what is the command that you need to do? Git status will give you the changes. Git add sample.txt, git commit -m, modifying the same file again. Okay, so I have modified the same file, And then the next instruction that I need to do is git push. That's the correct, right? I have to push the changes. So in order to push the changes, what is the command that we use? Git push. Okay. When it says git push, what it will do is it will reject you. Okay. What it will do? It will reject you. Why it is rejecting is because the remote contains work that you do not have locally. This is usually caused by another repository pushing to the same reference. So that means what is this message meaning is somebody else push the code, that code is not available in your local, so that's why you're not able to come push the code to the remote repository. That is the meaning of this message. So then what is the steps that I have to follow? It is failed. Okay, so it is failed. In order to make this work, first you need to get the latest code and then push. Okay, when they get the latest code, that means you'll have to use git pull. Okay, you have to run git pull and then push. So the basic idea is before pushing any time, you need to run git pull first. Okay, when it says git pull, it will tell you when it says git pull, it will get the latest code. Okay, now you see whenever I say git pull, it entered into one editor. Okay, so this we call it as editor. Okay, in this git editor, it says that some merge is happening. Okay, so you cannot perform any other operations unless you close this editor. Closing the editor is not closing the terminal itself or your git bash itself. You used to have one command. First press escape. Okay, here you have to press escape and then shift colon. So that means you have to give the colon. In the bottom you see, right, there is this one here. You see in this colon, right, in the colon, and then click on Q. Okay, colon Q will bring that to outside of your editor. Okay, so now you have the latest code, and then git pull will give you already up to date. When you say when you see the already up to date, then only you have to perform git push. Okay, git push has to be performed. Okay, so now you see in the level you have the latest code. Okay, sample text. I am adding a new line. That code is there. Okay, any questions here? Okay, so when we done git pull, so it will not always go to that editor. If you go to that editor, if editor opens, come out of the editor. Come out of the editor. Okay, what is how do you come out of the editor? By using escape first. Okay, then colon Q. Okay, so colon Q will comes out of that, and then if you do git pull, you see the already up to date, then git push. So this is the second scenario you have. Okay, now we will see the another scenario where dev1 modifies the code and dev2 push these changes and dev1 commit the code and then dev1 try to push the changes. It will fails, but what he will do is like before pushing, what is the first step that we have to do? He has to use, instead of push, you should do git pull first. When it is good, git pull happens if there is like editor opens, he come out of the loop by using colon q. Okay, close using colon q. And else there is another scenario you will get. That scenario we will be talking about now. Okay, for that I'll do these changes. So now I have uh, one file which I want to modify. Let's say I am modifying the same file. I am Bharat and I do sleep. Okay, so this is the new message that I want to add, or new code that I want to add into my file. Okay, the developer too is there, right, who is working on it. He works on the same file. Now previously he worked on different file, you worked on different file. So whenever these make changes has been done, there is no problem. Okay, now what I am the developer too is doing is he is working on the same file on which you are also being working on. Okay, now I am Kumar, uh, and I do eat, something like that. Okay, I'm just uh, modifying. Okay, and then updating sample file with it. So commit changes. So now developer 2 had made the changes and then push. So developer 1, what he is doing, so he has to check the status, add sample.txt, git commit. Okay, so if you forgot, let's say git commit, it will goes to this editor. If you use -m on the brackets, if you forgot that, it goes to this one. So this is also editor. If you ever goes into this kind of editors, use :q to come out of that. Okay, so and then it is saying that aborting commit due to empty commit message. That means if you don't give the commit message, then it will not be committed. Okay, so if you see the status, it will be still in green color. That means add stage state. Okay, then git commit -m, add modify sample file with sequence, some message. Okay, now git status will give us the one commit, and then what do we do generally before commit or before push? What is the operation that we wanted to do? Pull, right? Git pull. So when I do git pull, now see, this is the scenario. What we got is we got something called conflict. Okay, conflict got this one. This is the scenario that I'll get. Is that conflict? So when you get this conflict, if it is you understand the scenario when this conflict scenario comes. Okay, in the previous example or the previous scenario, I did not get that. I directly got that editor, and then come out of that I do git pull, and then I was able to git push. So both changes has been available in the git server. Now the scenario that we got here is a conflict. Okay, conflict occurs when you and the other guys make the changes on the same file, mostly on the same lines. Okay, when you do the changes, this conflict occurs. Okay, when conflict occurs, what it will looks like is it will tell you the message, and if you do the git status, it will says that both modified. What is the status you will get? Both modified. And also you have you unmerged paths, fix conflicts and git commit, and then use this one. Okay, so now I told you about, right? So git status will give you the current state. Okay, now if you got the conflicts, you have two paths. Okay, you have two paths to follow. One path is abort the pull. So you don't know what to do with this commit conflicts, and now you don't want to you don't want them. Okay, you don't want them first. At that point of time, you what you can do is abort the pull or abort the merge. Okay, so this is merge conflict, right? If you uh, abort it, then it goes to the previous state. That means what is the previous state? Before pull, the remote repository will have certain changes and your local has certain changes. Then you will have a chance to do something else. Okay, that is your first option. Second option is, okay, fix the conflict. Okay, you have to fix the conflict and then you have to push the code. This is the second approach. So the first approach is in a like getaway plan, and fixing the conflict is the actual thing you have to do. Okay, now we will see the first thing anyway. How do you do that? What is that? You want to uh, cancel this merging or pull. For that, you use git merge hyphen hyphen abort. What is that? Git merge hyphen hyphen abort. So it tells that uh, this merge has been aborted. Then git status will give you this one. Okay, so now there is one change, it is not commit, and the branch is diverged. So what you need to do is, now you can do some other changes, but is this git merge abort. So it will remove this conflicts. Okay, when it removes the conflicts, you see whatever the changes that you have in local, it will be come back to your changes. Okay, now, but that is not what I want to do. I want to do the fix the conflict. Okay, how do I do that? Fixing the conflict, first I need to get the conflict. How do I get the conflict? Git pull. So when I get the git pull, so I got the conflict, merge conflicts in sample.txt. See, when you have these conflicts, this kind of stuff will come into the file. You please observe carefully. This is very important because this is where your work reflects. Okay, now first I'll tell you what conflict is so that we'll understand what the conflict's about. You see, git, what it will do is, whatever the changes that you have been modified in your local and whatever the changes that has already pushed to the remote repository, they will take those all changes and it will try to put add those changes into those files explicitly. Okay, so if there is no let's say I have made changes in class A and somebody has made changes in class B, so git does not face any issues. So it will get the B changes and put it into B file, and A changes and then it will put it into A file. Okay, but both people are worked on the same file, and in the same line, let's say in the line number 7, in your local I am Bharat and I do sleep is there. Okay, in the remote, in the same line, I am Kumar and I do eat. So it does not understand what to keep and what to delete. See, if you do git pull, whatever the server is having, all those changes comes into your local, and if it replaces your local work, that means I am Bharat and I do sleep is replaced with I am Kumar and I do eat. Okay, so if that replaces like that without asking you, then you lose all the work that you do, right? Which is important for you. Okay, you should not lose the you should not uh, you'll not have no control if it is replaces it. And what code is available that you have written, what code is not available, it does not know. So that's why what people do is they will not replace it. Okay, now they will add two sections. One section is head, another section is your this is the ID, revision IDs that I was talking about, right? This we call it as commit ID. So whenever you do a commit, a number like this will be created. This commit ID, okay. So this commit ID, with this commit ID, one more section will be created, and user will be presented with the state called conflict, and user has to resolve it manually. Okay, so these kind of conflicts will not automatically handles. Okay, this has to be handled manually. So how do we do that? So remote has I am Kumar and I do it, and your local now has both changes, I am Bharat and I am Kumar, and then you decide which changes has to be present. Okay, only I am Bharat and I do sleep, or only I am Kumar, whatever the remote is having, that is fine, or you want both. So based on your decision, okay, you make the changes to this file. So let's say for now what I am doing is I want both changes, so I'll keep like this. The extra junk code has to be removed. Okay, now I have this file. Now you see I modified a file. I modified a conflict file. That means I resolve the conflicts. And what I need to do is when I modified a file, I directly cannot be pushed. So when I say push, it says that it's rejected because it is not having the latest things. So now what I need to do is I need to fix this conflict, right? How do you fix this conflict? Make the changes to your conflicted file, and then git status will mod, you see that both modified section and sample.txt. So git status will give us green color. Green color says that modified, and then git commit -m fixed merge issues. Git commit, git status. See, this is has been done, and then git, let's say git pull. What it is saying, because you fix that one, it says already the latest code is available, so already up to date, and then git push. So this is what you have to do for handling the conflicts. Okay, handling the conflicts. Now to see, when I refresh, you got the both lines of code, right? So now when somebody, if somebody pulls the code, what they are going to get, they are going to get the both lines. Okay, now how do you fix the conflicts? Open the conflicted file, uh, decide which code has to be there in conflicted file, remove all unnecessary lines of code. Git add file name, git commit. Okay, commit means like you will sage, and then git uh, pull. It will give you latest code, and then git push. So what it will do, it will push the code into the remote repository. Okay, this is going to happen when conflict occurs. So this scenario 4 is very simple. Dev1 modifies the code. Okay, and he don't need the code now. Pull latest code from repo. Okay, so that means what is the scenario here is you made some changes. Okay, and you don't want them somehow, whether they are invalid or something. You want to delete those changes, and then when you pull the latest code, whatever the server is having, that code will come. For example, I'm pushing our daily code into the repository, right? Let's say, for example, you made the changes in the current project itself, whatever the project that we have here. You made the changes here. When you made the changes here, then uh, again, the next day I've pushed some code. You want to get that code. Okay, whatever the changes that you have done, they are causing the issues for you. Okay, so at that point of time, what we do is we don't need that code. We don't need that whatever the code that you have written. So you just want to delete them. What is the simple way to do that? For example, this file, I am adding a chunk value. Okay, that will be okay. I'm having some junk value here. So git, right, yeah, come here and check that what is the status. Now this sample.txt has been modified. So I don't want this change. So if you don't want to have this change, what you can do is you can do in two ways again. Okay, so these two, you don't want the changes permanently, and replace the code with remote file. So whatever the code that we have in the remote file, with that code I want to replace. Okay, so now what I do here is that command that we have, git, please, all comes with the commands only here. Git checkout sample.txt. Okay, so whenever you have this file with checkout and the file name, then that file will be it will remove the changes that you have in that file, and then it will do this. See that extra code that has been changed, and then when I see git status, that has been okay. So this is one thing we have, which is git checkout and the file name. And the second thing is we have a feature in Git that, for example, you made the change. Right now, you don't need it. You may need some other time. Okay, so you may need some other time. You want to check something else in other what the remote is having. Somehow you want to delete these changes, and but these changes again you need. Okay, at that point of time, what approach that we use is you use stash process. Okay, the command for that is git stash. Okay, git stash. This way means saved working directly and index state WIP unstable. So this is the stashed one. So when you say stash, see the changes is gone. Now you do git pull and get the latest changes, something like that from the repository if there is any, and then you want to get the whatever the changes that you have undone, right? You want to get those changes. Okay, git stash. You previously run git stash to make those changes uh, to be removed, and then you see like how many stashes are available. Okay, so you do multiple slashes. Okay, what you do is like all these stashes will be available here. Now if you want to get those changes back, git stash. See, now what we have done is those changes whatever you have removed, that particular change has been come back. Okay, this is very rarely that we use. Okay, if you are like very advanced user and you know what you are doing, then only we apply this stash. Generally what we do is we'll make this copy somewhere and then we copy back, but this is an efficient way to get things like remove some changes and then get back again. Okay, so what are the commands that we have? Git stash will remove all the changes. Okay, and it will prepare an index in the backend, and git stash show will give us how many stashes are available, and then git stash apply will apply the latest one. Okay, whatever the first one you have, that changes will be reapplied. Okay, so this is how you do that, and then git pull will get the latest code. Okay, so any questions here? Now this is scenario 5 where dev1 modifies the code. Okay, dev2 push some changes in the same file, and dev1 pull the latest changes. How does that it differentiates with scenario 3? Dev1 modify the code and commit the code. Now you are not committing the code here. Okay, and dev2 push changes, dev1 pull try to pull the changes, and then you will get the conflicts, right? Now you see dev1 modifies the code. Let's say this code, I'm adding a junk value. This is has been modified. In the server, what's happening here for this file is I'm adding some value, meaningful code. Okay, and then so dev2 what he has done, he made the changes and then he done pushing. So second step is done. Now in your local you see git status will give us these files. Okay, git status will give these changes, which is you want to know what changes that you have in your local. Okay, whatever the latest code that you got previously and whatever the changes that you have done, if you want to know the difference, git diff will give you the changes. Okay, see in dot class path this is changed, and in your file I am adding a junk value, which the plus symbol means it's newly added the new line, and I am added a junk value is the message that we have added to the sample.txt. So what is the command for that? Git diff will give you the differences. Now, yeah, where are we? We are modify the code and we dev to push, and I want to pull the latest code. So without committing the code, I want to get the latest code. So that's the usual practice that we do. Okay, every day what we do is you go to the office and then you just do the git pull. When you do the good git pull, all the latest code will come automatically, which is pushed by your peers. Then that code will come. So now when I do this, what I get is you got it's tried to update the file, and then you got the error saying that your local changes to the following files would be overwritten by merge sample.txt. So please commit your changes or stash them before you merge. Okay, that means you have two options. When the pull the changes, commit the code, one option, or stash the code. When you say commit the code, it goes to the scenario 3. Commit the code and then you git pull, you'll get the config and then you'll resolve. And then stash the code. That means it goes to the scenario 4. You stash them, those local files will gone. When you git pull, your latest code will come. Okay, and then you work with that. So let's say git stash. When I say git stash, you see that local value is gone. Okay, and then git pull, what it will do, now it will add the code which is available in the remote. Okay, that code has come, and then git stash list will give you two things. Okay, git stash apply. Now you see, when we apply, we got this issue. Which issue? I'm adding some meaningful code and I'm adding a junk value. So updated stream, stashed changes. So that means this is the latest code that we have. This is the stashed changes. Once you do get this conflict, and resolving the conflict is same. Okay. So now you have both values, then you can decide. Okay. So both modified, whatever you want to do with this, you can do. Okay. I hope you understand. So when the scenario 5 comes, when you pull these latest changes, either you have to commit or stash the code. Okay. It's not a new scenario that I'm going to discuss. Whenever you do first commit itself, you will get a message. Okay, you will get a small configurations that you have to modify. Okay, what configurations are? I'll put it here so that you'll understand. Configurations. So when you do write commit, right, git commit -m message. So I have made some changes. Okay, I've added to the conflict. Okay, now what I do is git commit -m changes to the sample file. Okay, that I want to commit. When you says that, it will ask you, please tell me who you are. Okay, that means it does not know who is committing the code. Okay, so for that you need to run these two commands. Okay, what is the commands? Git config --global user dot email in the brackets Bharat dot christyparty@gmail.com. Okay, that is one command you have to run, and then git config. So how do you know that? You can see the above message and then type user dot name. Okay, Bharat space Christy. Okay, and when I do git commit -m changes to the sample, it has been done. So this is the one of the first things that you have to do. Okay, so git commit What is the other one? Name. Okay. Any questions?